Hello YouTube, this is Hidden Angel again, coming to you with another deck profile on a deck you all have maybe just seen, which was Odd-Eye Magician. Why did I just say almost Odd-Eye Pendulum? Anyway, this is the deck I came up with, excluding the additional XYZs I had in the deck I might have to aim to get along with the Vortex Dragon. So I'm gonna have to work on that. Well, till then, I'm gonna show you my deck profile. So, oh, and by the way, if anyone starts criticizing my low rarity cards, I'm just not, gonna care. That's my way to say, you. Pretty much. Whatever. So, here we go. This is Deck Pro. We start off with 3 Odd-Eye Pendulum Dragon, which is the key card to most of your, not most, but some of your combos, which allow some of the cards to kick off. Then we start off with 2 Time-Gazer Magician, 2 Stargazer Magician. There's a lot of magicians in this deck. Why do you think it's called Odd-Eyes Magician? No, I sound weird. 3 Wisdom Eye Magician. I might want to, yeah. And 3 Oath Dragon Magician. Mess that up. Then we have 3 Noble Dragon Magician. Oh yeah, Noble Dragon, yeah, that's her name. Then we have 1 Pepe, basically Formapal Skullcrobat Joker. 2 Pepe Trump Witch. 2 Pulse, and then 2 Pit. And then for the last 2 monsters, we have 2 Sacred Cranes, excuse me. And those are the monsters at the moment for the deck, so we're going to go on with that. Alright, for spells, we start off with 2 Dark Hole, 3 Sky Iris, 3, I believe, yep, 3 Pendulum Call, 2 Terraforming, 3 Polys, and that's for our spells. We don't really have much spells or traps in this deck. And if anyone says anything, Polymerization is my only fusion spell to get my fusion monsters out on the field, so again, you. Okay. Now, for my traps, we have Torrential, Cylinder, and 2 Mirror Force, because, well, they're just trolls. Alright, now I'm going to go down and explain how this deck works, and allow me to pause this video so I can get everything situated. Okay, so everything is now situated, and I apologize, I forgot to read off those cards. We run 3 Rune-Eyes Pendulum Dragon, Absolute, and Meteor Burst Odd-Eye Dragons as extra deck dragons. Anyway, how the deck works, pretty much. Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragons, Pendulum Effect. Crap, I really hate to do this. Basically, you can reduce the battle damage you take from it basically reduces attack from any monsters that would be attacking you for like a turn or whatever. That's basically his pendulum effect, but when he's on the field, if it destroys a monster by battle, any damage that opponent takes is doubled. So, that's basically your, what was that one card? It's like your Megamorph, so to speak, with no side effects. And then Time and Stargazer, pretty much, when they're in the pendulum zones, protects your, unless you have a magician card on the field, it can't activate its effects, pretty much. And same thing with Stargazer, and it's basically allowing you, basically if a pendulum monster you control attacks or is attacked, your opponent activates a spell, or your opponent, basically, he disarms traps, he disarms spells. So you need to have a magician monster on the field so their opponent's effects can't trigger their traps and spells. So that's basically your immunity, kind of. So we have Wisdom Eyes, which is the main searcher. We run 3 and 2 of these guys because, well, they're the gazers. And Wisdom Eye, basically when you put it in the pendulum zone, you can sacrifice it to basically sacrifice from your pendulum zone, bring it to your extra deck zone, like right in there. Pretty much, so you can basically search your deck out for another pendulum monster and place it in the pendulum zone to replace it. And its monster effect, nobody really uses its effect. So, or from what I've been told. But basically what it does is you can discard the card and then target a card in the pendulum zone, and it cannot, its current pendulum scale would differ from its original. Its scale becomes different or originates. It basically changes your pendulum scale level. Now, Oaf, we run 3. Basically, when he's normal or special summoned, you basically are able to search basically recover any magician or odd-eye dragons from your graveyard and bring them back into your hand. So if you were to have Odd Eyes penned, or if you were to have the Rum Eyes, Absolute, or Meteor Burst in your graveyard, you can basically bring it back into your extra deck or hand, so to speak. And its pendulum effect, if you have a magician card in other pendulum zones, you can add a face-up magician or Odd Eyes or a pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except Oaf. You can only use the effect once per turn, same thing for his recover effect. Now, Noble Dragon, I really love this card. Basically, what it does is, when it's in your hand, you're able to target any Odd Eyes monster on the field and reduce its level by 3, making it so that way it drops from a level 7 to a level 4. And then, it's your only tuner in the deck, so basically, summon Noble Dragon, get Pendulum, and then Synchro into Meteor Burst. And that's pretty much the main aspect of what that card does, and I kind of goofed on that in the video if you guys might see that. I don't remember if I did. And its Pendulum effect is, unless you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum zone, it basically just nukes itself. It nukes itself if you don't have another Magician in your Pendulum zone, so never play this first. And the other 2 prime magicians you won't need are Pulse and Pit. Now, I notice how people run their Odd-Eye magician decks on YouTube. I took a short glimpse into some of them, and I saw different variants. Most people play 2 Pulse and 3 Pit, or they used to run 1 Pulse, so to speak, because Pulse and Pit are basically main pendulum monsters you mainly want up on the field, unless you play Sky Iris, and that's I'm gonna explain that later. Pulse basically discard a magician monster to pop a back row. It's basically your MST, or wait, is that Pit or? Oh yeah, Pulse disarms the back row, while Pit basically destroys the front row. So it's your miniature Raigeki nuke, and that's your MST right there. Now, I'm going to explain why I have these other cards in here, and I'm sure a few people are going to be wondering why the frick does he have those. Anyway, for those who do or don't know this, and why they still have 3, I just wondered I wondered just the amount of stupidity they were on. I run 1 Crobat Joker, because for some reason people keep running 3 even though the format has updated. Seriously, people, you guys are... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so Crobat, basically, when you normal summon him, you're able to search your deck out for any Pepe's, Magicians, or Odd Eyes and bring it to your hand, so it's your +1 searcher. And when it's in the Pendulum Zone, cannot Pendulum summon monsters other than for those 3 I just stated. So it's kind of a... you don't want to play it. Now, Trump Witch, what she does is, when she's normal summoned, she's basically searching out for Polly. So I thought she'd be pretty neat to run, since everybody relies on frickin' Odd Eyes Fusion, which is kind of dumb. I just found it kind of funny. I just wondered, when I read this card, I'm like, why don't these okay, I'm not going to say a certain word. Why don't these Neanderthals pretty much switch from Dragon Fusion, Odd Eyes Fusion, to Polly, and then Trump Witch, because you're getting a bunch of pluses just with her, because it only happens if she's, oh wait, it's only if she's tribute summoned. So you're basically sacking her to search out for Polly. It's not that bad. And why people wouldn't want to run her, I don't really understand. If you rely on Odd Eyes Fusion, that's understandable. Each is entitled to their own skill, strategy, and opinions of how they run the deck. So, whatever. I'm just stating my own opinion on mine. Anyway, Sacred Crane, basically, special summon it from your hand, because Pendulum effect. Special summon, you get a +1 draw, so you're getting a good bit of draw power plus search power, so that's like a +2 right there for Crane and Crobat if you end up getting both in the hand. And pretty much explains the monsters, although I don't really want to explain what her pendulum effect is, but whatever. Once per turn, you can fusion Actually, on contrary, I do want to say her effect in it is kind of crazy. Once per turn, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion materials. So she's basically your polymerization on crack. She's a poly on crack. She's on crack. Pretty much, that is one overpowered card. I'm sorry. That's also another reason why I wanted to add her in the deck. Because if you're going to play Pulse and Pit, it basically stops your pendulum row to play her. So summon her, get Poly, yada yada yada. You all get the point pretty much. Crane, +1. Just explain it. So for the spells, we run 3 Sky Iris, and what this field spell does is, as long as it's on the field, once per turn, you can pretty much take out a pendulum section. So I'm going to give an example. If you pretty much destroy Pulse or Pit, you're destroying them, sending them to your extra deck to search your deck out for another pendulum monster. Oh, wait, not a pendulum monster. You're searching your deck out for Odd Eyes, so you get a -1 and then a +1, but you're losing your ability to pendulum summon, so don't use the effect of Iris unless you have a backup to pretty much support your pendulum summoning from the extra deck. I made that mistake a few different times before I tested the video and showed you guys the video, so I tested it a little bit, then I tweaked it to my actual build, but I had to add the extra stuff from the extra deck just so it could show how powerful the deck could actually run if I had those other 6 cards. But although I need Vortex Dragon, and why I didn't add Vortex Dragon, I will possibly slap myself for that. Anyway, next card we have is Pendulum Call, and this is a very particular spell that is basically a main searcher you want. And most people run 2, but I'm running 3. Again, people entitled to their own opinion. Anyway, discard a card to add 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names from your decks. You're basically discarding a Magician, or discarding a card to bring 2 Magicians from your deck to your hand, and then basically when you get them into your hand, once this card is played, the Pendulum monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Once you put them in the Pendulum Zone, their effects cannot activate, they're immune, and they're like under Vanity's emptiness, so to speak. They can't use their effects at all, and they're immune to basically do anything, except for the special summoning. So you just gotta be very careful. So, example, play this card, you play Wisdom Eye, you can't use her ability to search out for another new card to replace her for the Pendulum Zone, so it pretty much screws that up for you, so you just gotta be really careful with how you use Pendulum Call, and especially if it's on a first turn, if it's understandable. You could probably just want to search out for Gaze, for either for Time and Star, or Trump Witch and Noble Dragon, I guess. Whatever one would fit you guys best. And Terraforming, well, because it's terraforming, it searches out for your field spell. Poly, we all know what it does, so I really don't need to explain this. And 2 Mirror Force, Magic Cylinder, a Tribute, because, well, they're trolls. These 3 are original old school trolls. Especially if you want to go back to the original series and into GX, that was a blazing... that was a great series. Both of them, especially the abridged. Hey, Yugi, let's go to the Golden Gate Bridge. Tristan, you're talking about the wrong bridge. No, this is the bridge Magneto destroyed in X-Men 3, The Last Stand. And if anybody's seen the Yu-Gi-Oh! Addis by Lil Karibo, that's pretty much who I'm referencing, although a few of you probably won't get that reference. Excuse me, about choked on my own spit. Okay, anyway, I'm going into these cards. The extra deck, Meteor Burst, it requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and once it's special summoned, you can basically, I'm trying to think how to put this. Oh yeah, once per turn, monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects during the battle phase, so it pretty much does that, but once it's special summoned, you can target a card in the Pendulum Zone and special summon it. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of this turn. So, it's either seeing this one, or say for instance, if you wanted Pitt out on the field for defense, you'd want to take him out of the pendulum zone and play him in defense because his defense is like 2,700, so that's not bad. Or go for Pulse because her attack is 1,800, so she's an 1,800 beater, so that wouldn't be bad either. Pitt, heavy defense. And that's just a heavy 2,500 right there. And then, if you guys saw in the video, I was able to pull off a summon where Noble Dragon Magician tuned itself to Wisdom Eye, and then I got into a Meteor Burst, and then I got an Odd Eyes Dragon, reduced its level, and then I went into another Meteor Burst, or it was one or the other. Then I pretty much exceed them into Absolute, and what Absolute does is, during either person's battle phase, it can stop the attack completely, and that, say for instance, if I attack with Noble Dragon, which I did, you could stop her and then bring